Donald Trump just declared Greenland belongs to America, and he's dead serious. This isn't 2019 talk anymore. Trump says controlling Greenland is essential for national security, and he's not ruling out military or economic force to get it. Denmark says it's not for sale. Greenland says they're not interested. But Trump isn't backing down. Stay informed with 1 minute ago news. Hit subscribe because this could reshape global power. This is really about China. Beijing has been investing heavily in Greenland's mining and infrastructure, trying to gain influence. Greenland has rare earth elements needed for electric vehicles, smartphones, and military tech. China controls 80% of global rare earth processing. If China gains a foothold in Greenland, it threatens U.S. supply chains and Arctic dominance. Trump sees this as an existential competition. Letting China get Greenland, unacceptable to his worldview. Greenland sits between North America and Europe, controlling Arctic shipping routes that climate change is opening up. It has massive rare earth mineral deposits essential for technology and weapons systems, minerals China currently dominates. The U.S. already has Thule Air Base there, critical for missile defense. As ice melts, Greenland becomes the most strategically valuable real estate on Earth. Whoever controls it controls Arctic access and resources worth trillions. This is really about China. Beijing has been investing heavily in Greenland's mining and infrastructure, trying to gain influence. Greenland has rare earth elements needed for electric vehicles, smartphones, and military tech. China controls 80% of global rare earth processing. If China gains a foothold in Greenland, it threatens U.S. supply chains and Arctic dominance. Trump sees this as an existential competition. Letting China get Greenland, unacceptable to his worldview. Russia has been militarizing the Arctic aggressively, new bases, icebreakers, and weapon systems. Putin views the Arctic as Russia's strategic backyard. Climate change is opening the northern sea route, cutting shipping time between Asia and Europe dramatically. Russia wants control. If the U.S. doesn't secure Greenland, Russia and China fill the vacuum. Trump's advisors warn that Arctic dominance determines 21st century superpower status. Greenland is the choke point for everything. Denmark's reaction? Absolutely not. The Danish Prime Minister called the idea absurd in 2019, and their position hasn't changed. Denmark considers Greenland part of its kingdom, though Greenland has significant autonomy. Danish officials are privately furious at Trump's renewed pressure and veiled threats. But here's the problem. Denmark can't defend Greenland militarily without U.S. help. They're NATO allies dependent on American security. Trump knows this, and it gives him leverage. Greenland's 57,000 residents have their own opinion. They want independence, not new ownership. The Greenlandic government has been moving toward full independence from Denmark for years. Many Greenlanders are offended by being treated as property to be bought and sold. But there's complexity. Greenland depends heavily on Danish subsidies. Full independence means finding new revenue. Some Greenlanders quietly wonder if U.S. partnership could offer economic opportunities Denmark can't provide. Trump could offer Greenland a deal they can't refuse: massive infrastructure investment, resource development partnerships, and economic aid that dwarfs what Denmark provides. Greenland's government wants to develop mining and oil, but lacks capital. Trump could promise billions in development money, jobs, and revenue sharing. It's not annexation, it's a strategic partnership that gradually shifts control. Economic pressure on Denmark could work too. The U.S. could make staying in Danish hands costly. Trump said he won't rule out military force. What does that actually mean? Unlikely he'd invade a NATO ally. More likely, expanding Thule Air Base without permission, increasing military presence, or creating facts on the ground that force negotiations. Economic coercion against Denmark is more probable: trade pressure, defense spending demands, NATO obligations. Trump could make Denmark's position untenable without firing a shot. The threat alone changes the negotiation. Denmark knows Trump doesn't bluff. America has done this before. We bought Alaska from Russia for $7.2 million in 1867. People called it Seward's folly. Now it's priceless strategically. We bought the Virgin Islands from Denmark in 1917 for $25 million during World War I. We took Hawaii and Puerto Rico through expansion. Manifest destiny didn't stop at the continental border. Trump sees himself continuing American expansion tradition. To him, this isn't imperialism, it's strategic common sense and historical pattern. Legally, this is a nightmare. Greenland isn't for sale under international law. It's a self-governing territory within the Danish realm. The people of Greenland have self-determination rights under UN principles. Forcing acquisition would violate multiple treaties and international norms. It would set a precedent that territories can be bought or coerced. But Trump has never let international law stop him before. He withdrew from treaties, ignored norms, and redefined rules. Why would this be different? This could fracture NATO. Pressuring Denmark undermines alliance unity. European allies already distrust Trump's commitment to collective defense. If Trump bullies a NATO member over territory, it proves their worst fears. America sees allies as transactions, not partners. Russia and China would exploit the division. European defense integration could accelerate without the US, but Trump doesn't care about traditional alliances. He views NATO as obsolete and transactional. This could fracture NATO. Pressuring Denmark undermines alliance unity. European allies already distrust Trump's commitment to collective defense. If Trump bullies a NATO member over territory, it proves their worst fears. America sees allies as transactions, not partners. Russia and China would exploit the division. European defense integration could accelerate without the US, but Trump doesn't care about traditional alliances. He views NATO as obsolete and transactional. Trump isn't stopping at Greenland. He's also talked about retaking the Panama Canal, claiming China has too much influence there. The pattern is clear. Trump wants to reassert American dominance over strategic choke points and resources. This is a broader doctrine: control what matters geographically and economically, regardless of sovereignty or international opinion. Greenland and Panama are part of a vision where American power isn't constrained by post-war multilateral order. Trump takes office January 20th with this as a priority. Expect immediate diplomatic pressure on Denmark, economic incentives dangled to Greenland, and quiet expansion of U.S. military presence. His administration will explore every legal and quasi-legal mechanism. Denmark will resist publicly, but may negotiate privately under pressure. Greenland's government will be courted aggressively with investment promises. This won't be resolved quickly, but Trump will push boundaries constantly. Trump takes office January 20th with this as a priority. Expect immediate diplomatic pressure on Denmark, economic incentives dangled to Greenland, and quiet expansion of U.S. military presence. His administration will explore every legal and quasi-legal mechanism. Denmark will resist publicly, but may negotiate privately under pressure. Greenland's government will be courted aggressively with investment promises. This won't be resolved quickly, but Trump will push boundaries constantly. The question is how far everyone else lets him go. Foreign policy experts are alarmed. They warn this undermines the rules-based international order America built after World War II. It signals that sovereignty is negotiable for small nations if big powers want their territory. It encourages China and Russia to pursue similar land grabs. Critics say it's neo-colonialism that damages American moral authority. But Trump supporters argue moral authority is worthless if you lose strategic competition. Power matters more than principles. This isn't really about Greenland. It's about whether America will compete ruthlessly for dominance or continue multilateral cooperation. Trump believes the world is zero-sum. If America doesn't take what it needs, adversaries will. Climate change is accelerating great power competition over resources. The Arctic is the next frontier. Trump sees hesitation as weakness and boldness as strength. Whether you view this as visionary strategy or reckless imperialism depends entirely on your worldview. Donald Trump's Greenland ambition isn't going away. It's a test case for how far he'll push American power in his second term. Denmark will resist. Greenland's people deserve a voice. International law says no. But Trump has never accepted no before. The Arctic is heating up literally and geopolitically. What happens with Greenland will define great power relations for decades. This is 1 minute ago news. Subscribe now because you need to understand what's really at stake in America's new territorial ambitions.